everybody. It's the Enchanted Reading Specialists here, and we are coming to you from the conscious couch with one of our reflective ramblings.
Nice job. Nice job. I get tongue twisted with that.
We're reading specialists, so we love alliteration, but sometimes when you have to do it on camera, you get a little tongue-tied.
You did a great job.
Okay, good.
Thank you for taking that one on. All right, so today we thought maybe we would share with you a little bit about how we get our messages, because sometimes we get people who come to us and they have an expectation of how we get our messages. And
so Stace, let's just stop right there. You sometimes say that you see a movie in your head, so let's just play that out.
Okay.
When you see the movie in your head, do you see the person with what color shirt they have and what color hat they have and what color hair they have and where they met you 15 years ago and the favorite song that you've ever heard every time that you were together?
No, I don't.
Me either. It doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, I know people would love that, and
I would love that. I would love that. Come on,
like,
spirit guide.
Yeah, we don't really hear, like, we know things and we do hear things in the, like, inside of our head, but it's not
so you don't
always
hear me talking to you right now in your ear.
I hear you.
But I mean, is that how you hear it? No.
No. It's
yeah.
just it's a kind of a knowing hearing, I guess, that just happens in the brain or between the ears somewhere. But I feel like people often just expect, like, oh, if you can connect with the other side, you should just be able to see them and ask them, and they will tell you verbatim everything that I'm hoping to hear. And
that happens sometimes.
Well, that has happened sometimes,
yes.
And other times, literally, channeling them, those words will come through that we really don't have any control over what's being said.
That can be scary too.
It can be, yeah. We've got some fun stuff to share about that, but
that's for another time.
Yeah, it doesn't always happen, and like I know one of the issues I have, like I don't ever really get names, and sometimes people they really want names. And I'm like, that's just not the way my gifts work. But yes, that might show me a scene play out of something. And when I relay that to the person, they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. This is, oh, it can be as silly as I remember one guy that I said, like, it feels like wind chimes. Like you keep kind of like having
bumping
to duck
head.
And hitting your head on wind chimes, but it's in the house. So does that make any sense to you? And he thought for a minute, he's like, oh, yes. When you said hitting my head on, he's like, the dining room light, we've moved the table so it hangs low, and it looks like wind chimes. It's got all these crystals that kind of hang around it.
And I keep running into it.
And and so it looks like kind of like wind chimes to me. So it's not a verbatim thing. It's not a exact match. All I can do is describe what they're showing me and hope that it makes sense to the person that is receiving the message.
And even if they don't later, even if they don't while they're sitting right in front of us, sometimes later we get emails or phone calls like, remember when you said? And we're like, no, we don't remember because we were channeling. But I'm so glad it resonated with you.
And that they remembered and they went and looked it up. And sometimes it can take, half an hour. Yeah. And the spirit is so persistent. And it's like, no, they have to get this. This should make sense to them. And the person's like, I just don't get it. And we're feeling really bad because we're like, well, they're telling us that we have to stick with this. So let's, we try to get off it. We come back and then finally they'll be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't think of that.
Right.
So that's kind of about, if you watch our other video on how to get a good reading and just staying open and thinking about all avenues and not expecting a particular thing to be said or shown, you'll get a much better reading.
Right. And I get song lyrics and smells. And people say, well, do you smell like I smell a roast cooking? No, I don't. I don't get the smells, just like the hearing. It's inside my head, right? Which you got to experience.
I have a couple times now. She's rubbing off on me.
We are commingling our gifts a little bit. Yeah, and I started to feel like I started to channel people and what they were feeling inside when they were hurt. It's like, you keep that to yourself. I'll keep the smells to myself. But yeah, it's a smell inside. And a lot of times, I have to look around and it's like, okay, is this coming from somewhere around here? Nope, it really just is inside of here. And I can smell it just like if it were the smell that you're getting right from the kitchen or something. And the lyrics are they always crack me up because...
Well, let me go back to the smells really quick because I'm always impressed by, and when we work tag team on this, there's just kind of a knowing that I get when she gets a smell sometimes that you can really discern. Like one of the things that if you get a lemon smell, you might go, it's not a cleaner. It's more, lemon bars or something. Yeah, you can distinguish between that kind of thing. Or,
and then you'll get the message that'll be like, yes, it's this.
Right.
Yeah.
What did we have?
We had a chocolate chip cookie once, and I said, but I don't feel like it's cookies, and you said, yeah, it's cereal.
Oh, yeah.
It's the chocolate chip cookie cereal or whatever. And the person that was in front of us was like, yes, that's what we always ate for breakfast. Yeah.
So, when we read together, it really is, as she's deciphering what kind of chocolate it is, because she'll be like, well, it's not like a chocolate bar, it's not a brownie. So she's kind of trying to go through the smells in her head of like, is it this, is it that? And all of a sudden, I'm like, it's cereal. I don't know where that's coming from, but it's like
we just learned to say it. Yeah.
And so that's kind of how we bounce off of each other. Right. Sometimes I'll be pulling in a spirit and I'm kind of trying to tune in on, do I want to talk to, let's say, a male energy or the female energy first?
And some smell or music pops up and it's like, nope, sorry, you step back. This person's stepping forward. So,
So if the smell comes through and she's like, oh, I'm getting a really strong rose smell. Sometimes it's because the person grew roses, and sometimes it's because their name is Rose.
Rose,
You just have to say it, and then the client, will say, oh, that's probably my grandmother Rose.
Right.
And so then I know too. Then like, okay, well, there was a male present stepping forward as well, but we'll just ask him to step back and let's talk to Rose right now.
Yeah.
So we really do bounce off of each other, and we always kind of get the same message, just in different ways.
Yeah.
And so piecing it together, or if one of us is saying something about it, it kind of, I don't know, like to me, kind of speeds me up to, oh, they're like, okay, so she said that. I don't have to get you to understand that it's Rose. Now I'm going to show you something Rose did.
Right.
And that message, then I'll be getting this little movie thing in my head of Rose moving dishes around or something like that. And so it keeps the client busy, bouncing back and forth between us sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
But it's not as good as we are and working together. Sometimes there are just clients that say, well, what is their name? Like, I'm not going to believe you unless you tell me their name. And like, I literally just pulled out of thin air how many kids you have, if they're boys and girls, what's going on in their life, who's shy and who's got trouble at school.
What is that name thing? That name thing is a block for both of us. I don't know what that is, but yeah. And it's also, I know we've talked about this before, but it really is about how open the person is sitting across from us, because we've had people who are super open and then the stuff just comes flying through, and we have people who are curious and want the messages, but they're scared, or for whatever reason something is holding them back, and we can feel that push of energy, and so spirit will only give you what you can handle.
And oftentimes, I think those are situations where the client is a little apprehensive about what might be revealed, and so they're just kind of holding that little wall because they're a little scared of like maybe like being sad about what they hear, or that, oh, if we reveal that so-and-so was an alcoholic and maybe they don't know if they want that exposed or not.
We don't do that.
There's that kind of thing. And so we just, if it's a one-on-one thing where we're in a private setting, we always just ask, are you okay with any messages that come through?
Well, we do that even
sometimes
no matter what. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll preface it with like, I think this next message could be difficult. Are you ready to...
Do you want to hear it, or do you want to? Yeah, because we always, it's always the choice of the client. No matter what spirit is trying to get us to go for, it's really whatever they
have to be ready to kind of cope with and deal with it, and usually they are good. By the time we get in, once we tiptoe in a little bit, they're so excited, impressed, whatever, that they want those messages, and so they just open up and they trust us.
Song lyrics are interesting because I've started to get, I've always gotten just lyrics out of songs, and they'll just be certain songs, and we have discovered that some songs that I hear are patterns. Like I've kept track of that, but I started getting like movie lines now. Yes. It's like, are you kidding me? We had
You're just our media girl.
Oh, jeez. I don't know. Maybe it's because I have so much of that in my head, but
well, you remember it very well because you will quote something from a movie that I've seen, and I won't remember what the quote
well,
is.
I can
or where
thank
it
my
came
kids
from,
for that
so,
because they speak in movie language to each other. I mean that it was always dinner and a show at my house when they were younger. I love you guys. So they still do. They still talk to each other in movies. But
and so now some of the song lyrics that you get aren't necessarily the particular message that's supposed to come through, but it might be the music that the person on the other side loved. And so it draws a connection for the client. Right. Or it could be something the client was listening to and the spirit is trying to let them know, like, I was with you when you were listening to that song.
Or it's actually the message and the lyrics that are coming through, because sometimes I'll just get lyrics on repeat and it'll just be the same lyric over and over and over again, and that's and that means it's a message. Like these are the lyrics that are coming through, so pay attention to these.
And then there's the few that we've discovered whenever you hear them, it means it's a particular situation, that's coming through that gives us a clue about what the client's dealing with, and what kind of relationship they had with spirit. And so it's nice now that we have that figured out.
It took a while.
It's like, why are you getting this song again? And then we started piecing it together. So, a lot of this is just practice of trying to, figure out, what spirit. It's not an exact science, and everybody gets their messages.
Everybody. So all of you out there, all of you have this gift, and you can get your messages. It's just tuning into it and paying attention to it, right? So here's our little homework for you. We want you to start paying attention to how you get your messages. And if you want more help with that, we are soul coaches, and we can help you open that up and start listening, help you tuning into that. So
you can look at our website. It's enchantedreadingspecialists, it's plural.com, or you can email us at enchantedreadingspecialists@gmail.com.
And we're coaches, and we're gentle, and we don't hurt.
And
I promise.
We love helping others recognize what gifts that they have, and embracing those.
So this has been, thank you so much for tuning in with us and listening to our reflective ramblings from the Conscious Couch. We are the Enchanted Reading Specialists, and we are coaching consciousness
one soul at a time.
Woohoo!